All right, this morning we're gonna make biscuits and gravy with all the fixins, as we call it. And we're gonna start off by preheating the oven to 400 degrees. And we're gonna start with our biscuits because they take the longest to make. So this is the order you wanna make them in. First thing we do is we spray our pan like this, pan, so the biscuits don't stick. And then we're gonna start with flour. The best, if you are fortunate enough to live somewhere where you can get Hudson cream self-rising flour, you're gonna make the best biscuits you ever made. But if you cannot get the Hudson cream because it's not available everywhere, then you wanna get White Lily self-rising. That will also be good. Any other flour won't be good. So White Lily or Hudson cream. So we put a little bit of the flour in here, and you're gonna make a big mess, so just know that already. And I put about, I'm gonna call that maybe 2 cups, maybe 2.5 cups. Sift it around, and I kind of eye my pan for the size that I'm making. I'm gonna need a little bit more, so probably a total of maybe 4 cups. That's a pretty deep pan. I'm gonna make some big biscuits.
No precise measuring here, huh?
Unfortunately, there's no precise measuring. I'm gonna estimate it at about 4.5 cups at this point. Woo, I'm in a cloud of dust up in here. All right, normally it's not quite that dusty. I don't know why it's so dusty today. All right, then you're gonna make a well. That's what my grandmother always called it. She's the one who taught me how to do this. So you're gonna make a little well like this. Okay, and then you're gonna put buttermilk in, like this. And I would say for this batch, I would say, you know, I actually think I might need a little bit more flour, possibly. Yeah, I'm gonna put just maybe another 1/2 cup in. That's kind of a big pan. Well, that's all we have, so that's what we'll do.
Every bit of it.
Every bit. We used it all. Might as well, right? All right, so I make my well. And then you fill the little well with your buttermilk. I can see it needs to be shook again. Sometimes when you very first open a brand new one, make sure the lid's on tight and reshake it. There we go. All right, so you fill that up about, I don't know, what was that, maybe a cup. And then this is important, don't forget your Crisco. So your regular vegetable oil, you pour just a little bit of that on top. About, I'm gonna say 1/8 of a cup, something like that. And then you're gonna start stirring. And now you're gonna add water and buttermilk together. I should say back and forth, kind of. More buttermilk than water for sure. And you don't want to use all buttermilk. I've tried that. That's too buttermilky tasting. So I need water. I like to use actual bottled water. Hold on. You press the pause. And we live in Florida, so the water's not very good, so we gotta use bottled water. But wherever you live, if you've got good water, you can just use it right out of the tap. All right. And so we just added a little water. Now we're gonna add a little more buttermilk. Okay. Just keep stirring that around. Now we're gonna add a little more water. Let's keep stirring that around. We're gonna add a little more buttermilk. Because you want this dough to be kind of wet when you first start working with it. It's still a little dry, so we're just gonna keep adding the water and keep adding the buttermilk. Oh, we're about there. A little bit more. All right, we're about at the consistency that we want. You see it's still kind of wet, right? And you don't want to stir too much because that does make them kind of tough, my grandmother used to say. So now we're going to put some flour on our hands. I've got my white lily flour here. So what I do is I put a little flour on my hands and I go like this and I start. You got to keep flour in your hands so your biscuits don't stick. You start making your biscuit dough, folding it in on itself, adding a little bit more flour. All right, now we're getting to the point we're going to start pinching some biscuits off and put them in the pan. So however big you want your biscuit, you just do that. Put it right in. You need more flour every time. So I'm making kind of big biscuits today because I got a big old biscuit pan. And you do want them to be touching. There we go. Whoop. Get it back on there. And these are going to be the lightest, fluffiest biscuits you've ever had. You're going to love them. All right.
Are you making those fabulous biscuits?
I am. My mama's here.
Hello.
Mama's in the house.
Yeah, and let me tell you what, she actually makes them better than my mama did. Now
That's a compliment.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Pressure's on.
Uh-oh.
These are old-fashioned Kentucky-style homemade biscuits. You wait till you see the finished product.
I think maybe we're gonna make one,
Oh, we
Big.
make two smaller ones.
two smaller ones, you think?
Yeah.
All right, that's what we'll do. Mama said.
There, see?
Perfecto.
Okay, and then this is what your hands look like.
Yeah. And there ain't no getting around it.
No, there's no getting around it.
You know you done it right when you got that hands
Right,
like
that's
that.
right,
Absolutely.
That's right. All right, we're good. All right, so our oven's already hot at 400. This is our pan of biscuits that we just made. And we're just gonna put it right in the oven. Ow, and not burn ourselves when we do it. I was trying to do it from the side, do it from the front. All right, and now the fixins we're gonna get started with. The first thing we get started with, we love the corned beef fried like this. So we put a regular frying pan, a little bit of your Crisco, because we like it a little bit crispy. So we put the oil in, about, I'm gonna say 2 tablespoons probably. Get that around. All right, put that on. Our stove runs real hot, so we're gonna say medium, but we're probably gonna have to turn it down. And this one takes the next longest to cook, so we do this way. Well, I'm gonna wait actually till that gets a little hot. So what we're also gonna make, what we love, is fried apples with our biscuits and gravy. They come in a can like this. Lux is the only brand I've ever found them in. And we also, they do say fat-free, but we're about to change that because there ain't nothing good that's fat-free, I say. So we're gonna put a little vegetable oil in our pot here. And then they come in a little liquid. We're gonna drain most of it out, not 100%, but most of it we're gonna drain out. And we're gonna just throw them right in here. Right. And then we're gonna add to that a little sugar, like this, about that much on the apples. And then they're gonna caramelize a little bit in that. And we're gonna turn the heat on, that'll help it do that a lot better. And I'd say put it on medium too, but again, our stove runs kind of hot, I may have to turn it down. All right, so, yeah, that's good more. So we're gonna put our corned beef hash in the frying pan because we're gonna fry that up real good. This is not your heart healthy breakfast, just, they've already figured that out. But it sure is good. All right. And this is the double size can. And we're feeding 4 today, but this is a lot. There'll be leftovers.
Yum.
And we put some salt and pepper on our corned beef hash. So I got my big shaker when I cook. Got that much salt. And about this pepper's not coming out very good. I'm gonna use regular pepper. And a good amount of pepper on it too, that's good. All right, and now we're gonna start our gravy that's gonna go beautifully draped on our biscuits. And if you'll shut that. All right, now we're gonna make the gravy. Now, I know probably everybody doesn't have a cast iron skillet. I always make it in cast iron skillet. I imagine it would work in something that's maybe not Teflon coated, maybe just a stainless steel, but really to get the best results, you really are gonna want it to be in a cast iron skillet. So if you don't have one, you need to get one and you can season them up. This is the skillet that belonged to my great-grandmother, who gave it to my mother, or to my grandmother, who gave it to my mother, and my mother, who you met earlier, gave it to me. It's good for when husbands get out of line too, is what they say. So you can just straighten them out with this. So cast iron skillet is good for a woman to have. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I know if you haven't been, you need to be always saving your bacon grease. It's like gold. This is actually imported from Arizona because somehow my oldest daughter got out of the house not realizing you save your bacon grease. So we made a bunch of bacon over there the last time we were there, and we brought the bacon grease back home on the plane in our checked bags. We're always running out because this guy always steals my bacon grease for other stuff.
I love bacon grease.
He puts it on everything. So you're gonna put the bacon grease in here, and we're gonna make some bacon, so we're gonna have some more bacon grease. So I don't know, that's probably 3 or 4 tablespoons, I would say. You see all that good bacon scraps on there? That's gonna all be in the gravy too. I've got my heat set on about medium, but again, our stove runs hot, so we're probably gonna turn that down a little bit. You probably won't have to turn yours down, but we got a crazy stove. All right, so once this melts, we're gonna add flour, and you can use your white lily or gold medal flour will work. It's not as important, the flour on the gravy, it's just super important on the biscuit. So whatever, and it doesn't even have to be self-rising gravy, or self-rising flour for the gravy. So use whatever flour you got, really. I'm just probably gonna use my white lily since it's already out. Now I'm gonna get all as this bacon grease is melting, I'm gonna get it all off my spoon here. We want all those little good bits of bacon in it. And while we're doing that, it's time to turn a little bit of our apples and our, what do you call our corned beef hash. So I'm gonna get my plate out, start putting my spoons in, and things I'm gonna be turning it with. All right, so we're gonna turn these a little. And remember, we just put a little oil and salt and pepper on it. It's gonna be good. All right, there we go. And then over here for our apples, we're gonna use a spoon. Give that a little stir. Remember, we added sugar and oil also to that as we finish frying those already fried apples. Now it looks like our bacon grease is just about melted. All right. So now you want to put a little bit of your flour in as soon as this last little bit melts. And I would say probably, I think, what was that, 2 or 3 tablespoons of bacon grease? Something like
Sounds
that.
about right.
All right. So you're just gonna put a little flour in here. We're gonna make a roux. So we got flour in here. We're gonna put salt. And we're gonna put pepper. We got the good pepper out now. All right. Now, if my sister Stacy was here, she would say, no pepper. But I like pepper in it. She thinks she's allergic to it. I think she just doesn't like pepper, so she tells us she's allergic. You know, we've all got that one family member that does that. All right, so here we are. We've got not quite enough flour. We're going to put a little bit more. And now my Uncle Michael taught me this because he likes his gravy real dark. Mom prefers it more white, but I like the way Michael taught me to make that roux a little bit darker. And, ooh, I might have to put too much in there. We're about to find out. Just take a little of that out. Shook out a little bit. And if you do put too much flour in, it's no problem, because you just add a little more bacon grease. But actually, it might be the right amount. Yeah, I'd say it is the right amount. You want it like a thick paste like this. And we're going to brown it up the way my Uncle Michael always liked it. That good dark gravy, he'd call it. So if you're my mother, then this is about where you're going to start adding the milk, because she likes it more white. But we're going to brown this up real good. And once you start your gravy, it's a commitment, so somebody else is going to be in charge of the bacon. At least I would get my mother in here to start the bacon in a minute. All right. I'm just going to brown this up real good. Just keep stirring it. And it'll start to brown here in a minute. All right, why don't you cut that, and we're back. I browned this gravy. You can see I browned it probably for about 3 minutes, I would say. See how nice and brown it is? That's the way Michael always likes it. You got to keep it moving, stir it the entire time. I stirred it now about 3 minutes. You can see how nice and brown this roux is getting. And we're just now brown enough that we're going to add the milk. Now, this is whole milk, but you can use 2% if you're trying to lighten it up. I do it. It tastes good with 2%, but whole milk really is the best. All right, so now that this is good brown gravy roux, we're going to add in all this milk. Make the milk gravy, or whatever you like to call it. It's good stuff. And you are certainly, if you weren't committed before, you are definitely committed now. All right. So now we're just going to continually stir, because you don't want any lumps in your gravy. Lumps is no bueno. So we've got all the milk. That's how much gravy we want, is a whole pan full. So that's how much milk we put. And that's how you decide how much milk you want. I mean, that's just how much gravy you get. All right, so we're just going to stir this all around. We're going to stir it real good. And we're going to put someone in charge of bacon, because it's time to put the bacon in. All right, we're good. All right, so I'm continually stirring the gravy, because I'm in a fully committed relationship to this gravy right now, because you cannot leave it now. It has to be stirred every second.
So it's a good thing there's never been any family emergencies while she's stirring the gravy. Because whatever would have happened, she would have been on her own.
Would have been bad situation.
The person would have been, yeah.
Would have been a bad situation.
Yeah.
All right.
When her 2 oldest children were younger, and she was making this meal, they always wanted to be in the kitchen. Always. And I would be over there, and I'd be helping with the bacon. That's my job. And they would try to sneak into the kitchen. And her favorite expression over the years, not only when we're making breakfast, but at any meal to the children, off the linoleum.
Off the linoleum.
My grandson, her son now, has 2 little boys of his own. And guess what he says to them? Off the linoleum, boys, we're cooking.
And he's a good cook too. We'll have to get him on some video. He's coming down in June for Rick's birthday, and he's a good cook too, and he can actually make biscuits and gravy.
Ooh.
But he lives in California, and for some reason, even though that's where they keep all the cows that make all the milk, they don't have no buttermilk in California where he lives. It's crazy. So he'll probably have to sneak some back on the plane, kind of like we imported that bacon grease from Arizona. All right, now you see this is starting to turn a little bit. All right, and it's getting thick. I like it. And it's starting to turn into some gravy. We may even be able to add a little more milk, get a little more, because, you know, this pan might not be quite full enough. Let's see. think we could add just a smidge more milk and get a little more gravy because it's plenty thick. All right, now we gotta be careful because it's full.
That's a sliding skillet right there.
That's a spinner. We got a spinner.
We're a spinner.
Oh, I smell the biscuits. We're gonna give it a quick look. If you want to come
Yep,
around
coming
here,
around.
We're gonna show you.
They're cooking.
Oh, they're cooking. They're looking good too. They're not ready. You'll know they're ready when they get a little brown on top.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we start with biscuits, because they take the longest. And you want everything to come off the stove to the table hot. So you gotta make all this in this order. Biscuits first, then put your apples and corned beef hash on, let them start cooking. And then you make your gravy, you do the bacon last. You need some assistance, Mother? I'm in a committed relationship. I cannot help it.
Pull the whole thing.
I was gonna say that's gotta come out of there some way. There's no way Kim would put up with that battle every day.
No,
I
I
know her
would
too
not.
well.
That is so true.
She'd be like, okay, build me a new cabinet, Rick, because I'm not doing this.
All right, so this is about the consistency you want. Some people like it a little thicker. Some people like it a little thinner. Just however you like your biscuits and gravy is what you'll do. We're just about to the point. It's gonna bubble up one more time here. Remember, I have not stopped stirring. It's a steady stir. You get lumpy gravy. Nobody likes that. So I'm gonna let it boil up one more quick time, and then we're gonna turn the heat off of it. And then what will happen is a little film will happen over and seal the gravy up, and it will stay warm until you're ready to eat it. Because when the biscuits come out of the oven, we will be ready to eat it. So I would say it's just now starting to boil a little bit more. We're going to turn these corned beef hash. We're going to give it a flip and give the apples a stir here in a second.
Looking good.
It is looking good. It's looking like gravy. A lot of good gravy.
And by the way, the skillet that she's making this gravy in, have you already told
I
her?
told her, but you can tell.
Was my mother's.
Your grandmother.
My grandmother's.
Mhm.
So it's been through 4 generations.
That's correct.
And my grandmother was born in 1900.
Exactly, in 1900. So we always, if it was 1965, we knew she was 65. If it was 1970, we knew she was 70. Because she was born in 1900. And it's 2022, so this skillet is
22 years old.
22 years old.
That we
so feel
know
free to
of.
invest in
So-
one, because they will last.
So it's actually older than that. Her mother probably gave it to her.
Probably.
That was a Kentucky tradition. You always had a good black iron
Seasoned.
skillet that you always passed down to your daughter
Yeah,
or daughters. So you had to have a bunch of them if you was from her family
yeah, because there's
or
a lot of
part of her
babies.
family.
That's correct.
Seeing as how she had 11 children, 9 of hers and 2 stepsons, and
And my Mama Mead had 11 children, 9 boys and 2 girls of her all her own.
yep,
She was pregnant for a long time.
most of her life.
Yeah, bless her heart.
She lived a good long life too.
She did.
She was such a wonderful person.
She was. I named my first child after her. All right. So I've turned the fire off. I've turned the stovetop off because we've got this perfect gravy. Look at this perfect
Yes,
gravy.
that looks perfect.
But I'm just going to still stir it, even though the fire is off of it, because you cannot stop stirring it. Now, once it stops boiling, I'm going to pour it in a glass bowl and put a lid on it, and we're going to get that on
I'm
the
going
table.
to scoot around you here and get the things to take care of.
All right.
The other 2 things that need to be lifted.
Oh, look, see, show the crisp on that. See how that corned beef is crisping up?
Oh,
Because we put
perfect.
that oil in there. Oh, look at this, Mom.
I can't wait. I want to dig into it right now.
I know. We get excited over biscuits and gravy.
Oh yeah.
We are going to be full after this meal.
Yeah, this
Oh, yeah.
meal will hold you till about 4 in the afternoon. This is actually breakfast time. What time is it now? Well, it's noon actually. We slept in a little bit.
We'll just
We had a big
call this our
fondue party
brunch.
last night and forgot to video it, but next fondue party we will because it was spectacular.
And Rick made the best
Oh,
French onion soup
Can't
that
be
I've ever
oversold.
had in my life. The last
Can't
time
be
I had really what I thought was the best in the world French onion soup was back in the 70s at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City.
yep.
And I had never had any that was as good as that until last night.
Well, that's a compliment.
And last night, oh my gosh, it was to die for. It
Yep.
was absolutely fabulous.
Indeed it
I'm
was.
glad.
So if you ever wanted a job as a chef making French onion soup in the Waldorf Astoria, you could get one.
There you go.
My recommendation alone should get you the job.
Boy, that's all looking good right
We wouldn't
there.
let you go because we got to keep you here. You can't take me to
New York City.
You can go visit, but that's all.
Mama has spoken.
That's it.
All right, I'm gonna put this in that glass dish. Now you'll have to get it for me. So I'm gonna let Rick, cause it's a big old cast iron skillet and it's full of gravy. I'm gonna let
It
him
is
pour it
full.
in the bowl for us because it's heavy. And I just need to have him help me. I mean, I could do it. It's just heavy.
But I don't mind doing it.
We're frying the bacon. It's starting to look good. My beautiful mama. So pretty.
Thank you, honey.
Some good looking jeans.
You got them too.
That's all right. We're all good looking.
Got 'em.
And we're also modest.
Oh yeah, we're so modest and so shy.
And so shy.
My mother, I look more like her every single day.
Right.
I look in the mirror and go, "Hi, Mom. How are you today?"
I've been feeling the same lately, Mother. I look in the mirror and I go, oh, there's my mother.
Now we're covering it.
All right. And take it to the table. It's ready. It is ready. Boy, that's looking good. We got our apples frying, bacon frying, and biscuits in the oven. All right, so our biscuits are just starting to brown. As you can see, they're getting a little brown. It's getting pretty close to done. So since they're almost getting done, and it looks like our apples are pretty much done, we've already done the first batch of bacon. We did sample it. It's perfect. When you pour your
Oscar Mayer bacon, by the way.
Oscar Mayer always, that's the only kind that's any good. And then we poured our bacon grease back in here. When you pour your bacon grease out of your skillet, make sure you wipe the side of it, because if you set it back on a hot burner, you might get yourself a little grease fire going. You don't want that. And then I told you about the fondue. We had cheese and then we had chocolate. So what we're gonna do now, because what's really also good on biscuits is chocolate gravy. But we have chocolate fondue from the fondue party last night. We're just gonna warm it up in the microwave and have that on a little biscuit. That won't be bad.
Oh, that won't be bad.
All right, reheat. And I'm gonna say dinner plate because it goes on and off of power levels. And I think that's it for now. Okay, so what we're gonna do is take the biscuits out of the oven. You can see that they are nice and brown on top. That's what they look like.
Oh, beautiful.
And we've already got a hot plate on the table, so we're just gonna set it right on here. And you have to remind all your guests this is hot. It just came out of the oven, so you'll get your biscuit out with a fork. Don't touch it hot.
That looks perfect.
The moment has arrived. It's time to make your plate. Now, sometimes people like to just open their biscuits and pour the gravy on it. I prefer to break mine up into bite-sized pieces. So zoom in on these biscuits while I pull one out of here. Remember, this pot, this pan they're in is hot. Don't forget that. All right, I'm gonna take this little corner one. You see how hot the biscuits are coming out? Whoop. And look how fluffy these biscuits are. I mean, can you see all that fluffy deliciousness?
Yum.
So the way we're gonna do it today is we're going to break our biscuit up. And I know this biscuit's hot, but I still have to do this a little bit. Get my gravy on it. There we go. All right. There we are. And then I'm going to take my biscuit gravy right here. Where's the... Here we go. Oh, I forgot my label. All right, now you see there's a little bit of this film that it's been sealed, and so you got to break in that and give it a little mix. And now see how hot it kept the gravy? Look at all that steam coming off that little helps you. All right, so then you just pour it on your biscuits. Oh yeah, don't be stingy with it. Now I like my fried apples on a separate plate because I don't like my apple juice getting in with my other stuff. So there's my apples. And then chocolate sauce is going to be for our little dessert biscuit, which we'll show you in a minute. And then I'm going to get a little bit of this corned beef hash. Yeah, if we can lift that over here, perfect. Just a little bit for me. And then Mother's got the bacon right here. I'll get a couple pieces of that. Now, I also like to salt and pepper my biscuit gravy because it's so good. And your feast is ready to have. I have grapefruit juice with mine. Mom likes Pepsi with hers, and she's going to show you how she does one of her biscuits with this butter and jelly. So, in just a moment, we'll be back. All right, Mom's getting her plate filled. And she likes...
grape jelly and butter mixed together. And nice crunchy brown part of the bottom of the biscuit. Heaven awaits me. And there it is.
All right, so I saved a little room because I want to try this chocolate fondue. And you notice I just peeled these biscuits out of that pan that we set on that little hot plate there, and they're still steaming a little bit. That's how they keep their heat, so that's why you want to put it in there. They are hot, as Mother is attesting to right now. All right, so this is the chocolate fondue from what we had last night, and chocolate on buttermilk biscuits is the best little breakfast dessert you'll ever have. So you just do like that. And you know, now you take your fork, get all your regular gravy off of it. Mix it all around.
Ooh, that
And
is good looking.
The chocolate fondue is warm, the biscuit is warm, and let's just see how this goes. Yeah. So that was a good idea.
Our new favorite dessert for breakfast dessert.
Leftover fondue makes great chocolate gravy. But I will teach you how to make chocolate gravy on the next show.
All right.